Welcome back on Mode. Today I want to propose you a video about the issue 67 of Warhammer Conquest of Warhammer 40k, a listing combination of the Games Workshop and Hachette. And this, I want to remember you, it's something that I'm not sure that you're able to find, because Hachette had a lot of troubles about releasing them, so I'm not sure about them. Anyway, these are models that I really liked. Okay, the models are a bit old, and I hope that in the future will be released a new version of such scouts. Still, they are quite actual and they are quite useful, so it's anyway nice to have them. So now we go to see about the Indomitus and about the booklet inside, so to have a better understanding about such issues. So we can begin. About the models, we can find the bases that are 25mm ones and are simple bases, so you don't have two problems and not being updated as size for such models. So if you're interested about personalizing, having different type of bases so on, I suggest you to go in the description. There is the playlist about bases, and so you can find a lot of ideas how to modify, how to buy, for example, bases that are with different design or so on. That can be quite interesting, so I suggest you that one. So now we can go to see about the Indomitus. And now we can see about the models. One thing to notice is that we have 6 of such shooters, and we have 6 upper bodies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, but we have only 5 legs. So the models that we can build are these ones at the end, and they are really quite interesting because we can find that these models are really an amazing squad, but we are going to miss one model. So I suggest you eventually to try one thing, and it's to create eventually another legs, so that you can simply use these ones. For doing this, I suggest you to go to see about my videos about blue stuff and green stuff, because you can create a mold that can you duplicate. I'm not about talking about, okay, you have to duplicate everything. No, it's simply because you are having pieces and you are only missing a single piece to be able to build another model. So, okay, the bits, you have always bits that you are having more and so on. But sometimes there are things that simply are crazy, because you have a lot of pieces that still are, because you miss a single one. So eventually think about using such trick to create something, and so that you can personalize. Not misunderstand this. It's not that you can use this one so that you can have all the models and you have to avoid the line of sight rule. No. It's simply a way to have the models having all the options available. So eventually you can think about, and one model more like this, it's not a problem. So it's something that let you have more models available. Simply pay attention about this. So we can put these ones aside and see about the booklet itself. This issue obviously has I cover the scouts themselves that are quite interesting. And here we can find the contents inside this booklet. And here a bit of background about, for example, the company chapters, champions and so on, that can be quite interesting to understand that background, because it's quite interesting. Here we have Sargentelion that soon will be out of production, but eventually it will return successfully with step by step along the republishing of the Games Workshop and so on. But still you have to remember that this is an amazing model about Ultramarines. Here a bit about the watch, that it's an amazing, I don't say that we can call it chapter, but a mix of chapters that it has in now a really great one about the background, Mantles and so on available. You can modify in a lot of ways, so it can be really quite interesting. And there has been also the release about one of such boxes in the past, so it can be quite interesting because it was against the Genestealer cult. Here we have a lot of things. Here we have the scouts and how to build them. So we can study how we can assemble them, how to monetize them, eventually the arms I suggest you. But about the head, I'm not so sure, because okay, if you move from having the sniper and so on, can be interesting, but technically you can have a lot of options simply based on the arms, so pay attention. But remember also that you are limited, because you have to cut off a lot of pieces here to be able to monetize the arms. If you want to monetize simply the part about these forearms, it's different because it's available, but you have to decide if it's worth or not. Sincerely, I have a lot of scouts, so I'm not having trouble about having specific one related about having the scout with these sniper. But if you had the normal ones, I could think about this. I suggest simply to paint them separately as pieces and then glue together and refine before I finish the painting. But simply about this, it's about the painting here that it's quite simple but quite interesting. Here the way to paint the mantles. About the mantles, I want to remind you that I created a way to create the mantles themselves. So if you're interested, in the description you can find my link about having those mantles available. Here we can find a bit of details about to paint these scouts, and I think that the final effect is quite interesting, so I suggest you to think about. Here instead we have a bit of things about the rules. Remember that these here we have about the battle plan. Those rules are all related about the 8th edition. So remember that has been released a Codex of Space Marine for the 8th edition and one for the 9th edition, and there has been along this releasing 2 editions, the 8th and the 9th. Not worry which one you want to play. In the description I leave the playlist for the Codex of the 8th edition and 9th edition of the Space Marines, and for the 8th edition and 9th edition rules, so that you can have analysis about them. Simply have fun when you go to play. Not worry about not having all the models and all the rules because I collect this and I have the 8 and now it's the 9. No. Simply find eventually someone that want to play with the 8th edition or 9th edition and play with them. Not worry too much. You have simply to have fun. Simply try to play with both codex and obviously the rules related about the same edition. So 8th edition or 9th edition it's indifferent, so not to worry about it. Here we can find this, that it's an amazing background for your photos on. Eventually you can cut this one here. It's the normal final about the Warhammer Conquest, so it's the post that you can talk about this. It's about the Death Guard and Ultramarine. Eventually you can cut this and have an amazing poster. And then we have these ones. About this, okay, this I had published something because I have yet one of these, so I'm not buying this one too because I'm not interested about, because I needed only one. But remember that this one I not buy, so pay attention about this. So if you're interested about this, remember that I made videos about how to paint and build and so on this, and one about the issue itself of the previous one. So I'm not bring another one, but still I suggest you to think about having one of these Shanic elements, because it's really quite intriguing and interesting and can give you a lot of amazing options available, so think about it. So what to say about such specific issue? I think that it's really quite interesting because it has a lot of ideas that you can use, because the scouts are always an amazing cheap option to create and having your troops in your army about Space Marines. So I suggest you eventually. The trick that I talked to you about, remember not to use too much, okay, and pay attention about the copyright. It's simply a way to have the model completed, so that you don't have throw away the money, and moreover remember that it's a simple way to have the missing parts, not everything together. Pay attention. Anyway, from Dino Mode it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.